What's up, TechHeart? Let's talk today about the 2020 M1 MacBook Pro, or any Apple silicone device that you have with a broken keyboard and macOS Tahoe installed. When Tahoe shipped, they gave a new security feature, which basically makes this MacBook e-waste. Or does it? Let me explain. As stated, this MacBook Pro has a keyboard that only intermittently works. I haven't figured it all out yet. This Mac has had a new mainboard installed, and I just can't figure out why this keyboard only works like 1% of the time. But here's the problem. When macOS Tahoe came out, they offered a new feature. Because the simple solution would be to use an external keyboard, right? Connect it via Bluetooth, connect it via USB, and just go your merry way. However, when you try to connect a keyboard using USB or Bluetooth, a little dialog pops up that says a warning, unlock this Mac before you can use USB devices. The problem? You can't unlock this Mac to get inside and go in settings and change that to always allow. We're in trouble here, you see? Today, I'm going to show you how we're going to fix this MacBook Pro or those settings that you can change inside of the menus that might free you. So, this video is for you if you have a MacBook with a dead keyboard and you have Tahoe installed. You're kind of screwed? Not anymore. Let's go! So, I'm going to show you guys 3 different fixes for this issue. The first one, if you have a perfect file system on your Tahoe macOS M1 MacBook Mini with a bad keyboard, is just going to be burning a macOS Sequoia installer to a USB stick. Now, if you have a USB-C stick, no problem. We'll burn the macOS Sequoia installer to this. You can insert it into your MacBook Pro in a minute, and we'll get macOS Sequoia installed. If you've only got one of these puppies, a USB-A that just won't fit in there, you have to find a USB-A to USB-C dongle, and we can install it to this guy. Either way, let's jump on over to our other computer, and we'll get to burning a macOS Sequoia installer to our USB stick. We'll overwrite macOS Tahoe, and then there won't be that USB devices block, and we'll be able to plug the keyboard into our M1 MacBook Pro, and Bob's your uncle, baby. Let's go! Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll run over to support.apple.com, and we'll read the how to download and install macOS. Why? Because instead of Tahoe, we're going to revert back to Sequoia. We're going to be all hacker-like today, and we're going to use the terminal. But don't get worried, it's super easy. I'll pull up my terminal just so you can see what I'm going to do, and we'll use this software update command. Everything will be on screen for you. I'll paste that in, and we're going to grab macOS Sequoia version 15.7.4. So we'll start that. Once installed, it will be in your Applications folder, and it'll be called something like Install macOS Sequoia 15. Okay, when software update is finished, you can see macOS Sequoia in the Applications folder. Right there, install macOS Sequoia.app. If you're a newbie, you can also see it in your Applications folder right over here. However, we'll continue in the terminal, and we can insert any USB stick into our computer, boop, and we'll prepare the USB drive to write the macOS Sequoia installer. So, we'll do a disk-util list. Now, you'll see many drives, but you have to go through, and this is my internal drive. Okay. This is also my internal stuff. Oh yeah, disk 4. this here is my USB stick. You can go through, but make sure you get your USB stick, because any of these commands that will enter after here will erase the disk. So I know that my USB stick is an 8 gigabit disk /dev disk 4. That's what I'm working with. Make sure you select yours. Now we'll enter a disk util, erase disk HFS plus, and we'll name it Sequoia USB on /dev disk 4. This will erase that USB stick, and when that's done, we can go over here to a new website, create a bootable installer for macOS. Now, we have macOS Sequoia installed in Applications, Install macOS. So I'll double click this command and copy it and paste that in. And we'll just have to change here to our Sequoia USB. This will write the installer to your USB stick. It'll take a while, so I'll use the magic of video editing. Okay, and when that's done, you'll see some output here. Install media now available at volumes install macOS Sequoia. There it is. Now we can pull that USB stick from the Mac that we burned it with, and we can also remove macOS Sequoia from the donor Mac to save space. Okay, we're done. I'll meet you on the MacBook Pro so we can get that sucker fixed. Now, with the MacBook Pro plugged in, let's get our USB stick. And I'm going to add this little dongle so I can fit a USB-C. We'll throw that in the MacBook Pro. And we're going to boot into recovery mode. On the 2020 M1 MacBook Pro, it's pretty easy. Just hold the power button while you boot until this continue holding for startup options turns to loading startup options. Now we can see the install macOS Sequoia, that's our USB stick. However, before we can install it, we'll have to go into options and we're going to erase our hard drive because Apple won't let us downgrade macOS Tahoe to Sequoia. So we'll delete the hard drive first. We'll choose Disk Utility. Show all devices. And we're going to pick the main Apple SSD. For this, it's a 500 gigabyte. And I'll select Erase. And I can leave it on Untitled. And I'll just click Erase. Do it! This will reboot the computer, so we might be able to catch the power button when it does it. Press that power button, and it didn't catch it for me, so I'm just going to hold it to turn off again. Oops, no, there it is. Continue holding for startup options. And there it is. If you didn't catch it, just turn the computer off and reboot again and hold the power button until you get into recovery mode. Now, we can go to the Install macOS Sequoia. Continue. We'll select English. Let the Mac get activated. And now we can start installing macOS Sequoia. The installer will see an empty SSD and it'll let us install, whereas before it would not have. So we can select the Macintosh hard drive, click Continue, and Bob's your uncle. We got about an hour waiting, but you don't have to. Look at that, we got a reboot happening. We got macOS Sequoia, baby. Look at that. Our keyboard issues are solved. Well, kinda. Keyboards still don't work, but an external USB one will. Now, once we're all booted in to macOS Sequoia, we're going to open up Settings and go to Privacy and Security. Right down here. And then we scroll down, I think it's all the way. And we're going to look here for Accessories. And we're going to change this to Always Allow. And that's the setting that'll allow USB connections everywhere. Boom! Look at this jack. Now you just connect a USB keyboard. And Bob's your uncle, baby. Voila!
Go, go, go.